Hello, Wellness Warrior Collective. So excited we are back for yet again another episode. We are trudging together on this journey of amplifying the Wellness Warrior within. And if you are acquainted with our group, acquainted with our community, then you know there's a lot of ways and places in which you can meet us, whether it's live in person at an event, especially prior to this time, you may have met us at something local, or maybe you have met us in the social media space where you've, caught us in the Facebook group on Facebook as Wellness Warriors, or maybe following us on Instagram, wherever it may be that you met us. But the space that we are really going to continue the conversation around today is Clubhouse, because yes, this is the podcast. This is where we get to bring forth the conversations. We get to, get into and unpack the humans that contribute to bringing to light and to life all of these modalities that can truly optimize our wellness. And Clubhouse is where we can be in conversation. So the podcast, we hope to be of service. We hope that it truly moves you forward. But it really is more of a one, maybe two-way conversation when we're doing something involving like the interview today or the conversation today with Ezra Bates, who is the host of the Shameless conversation on Saturdays in Clubhouse in the Wellness Collective. And so at this point, you're going to get to see, and take a peek behind the scenes of what that space is intended to bring forth. But right now, it's going to be still simply us talking. And so if you want to be in the conversation with us, if you want to contribute, you want to take part, you want to be able to engage, even in the chat room section, know that both the Daily Manifestation Episode 2, if you haven't listened already, circle back. This is our Daily Manifestation of Self-Love, our daily room where we meet at 7:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And today we're talking about the Saturday space that is guided by Ezra, and many of us co-host alongside, just like in the weekly room. And in this space, it is centered and focused around shameless conversation in relationship to our recovery, addiction, and unpacking that in a loving and shameless way. And so we hope that you'll come along for the ride. We hope that you'll be excited to engage and follow us. Come sit with us in circle, share what has been working for you or what you are walking through. And so it's my great pleasure and honor to introduce my friend, who I also met on this app and has become a brother that I am so excited to be able to have in my life. And so Ezra, thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking part and saying yes to being my first guest on the podcast, but also someone who is just down to lead and live in that heart-centered space. I love having the aha moments alongside of you, the way we truly call in other heart, led and servant-minded humans. And I get excited when I think of all the lives that are going to continue to be touched because of the way that you stand in your vulnerability and transparency, of the way that you are walking and waking up in life. So hello, friend. Thanks for joining. And
hi.
Say hello.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's good to be here. What's up? It's good to be here, man.
Yeah. So tell everybody here, because I know more about you that I've learned in this last year, but share with everybody in terms of, because again, that shameless space. I mean, I remember the text message thread and the conversation as we were kicking it back and forth. I was in my kitchen when we were like throwing back and forth, just, this eruption of an idea that you had to bring forth. And I was so excited to hear. So share with people, what is that, undercover mission that you are bringing to light right now?
That's a good question. So, that's it. So it really started, my journey started eons ago with my own battle with addiction and sexual compulsivity and all things related to that. And through, as I matriculated through my journey and started finding healing, it became important to me almost immediately to try to pay some of that forward, because if you can only keep it by giving it away, right? Um, so that's where it came from, and then this. So I've been doing some of those things over the years, helping others, bringing others into a guided, way to walk away from addiction, but more than walking away, but walking into something that is life giving and beautiful. And so Clubhouse came along, and then the Daily Manifestation Room came along, almost on day one for me on Clubhouse, and we met, and you were there for the rest of the story, and so it just made sense. It just made sense. It was easy. The hard part was trying to figure out what we were going to call it, but the mission the mission was easy. Like it was easy, and it's been expanding. And so I give gratitude to you for man, guys, if you hadn't gotten a chance to get to know Lindsay, just stay tuned, because she has a servant's heart, a true servant's heart, and to offer your space when you didn't have to open it up to even more wellness topics and conversations. I just appreciate you, man. I really do.
Oh, well, I mean, we're doing it together. And the truth is, and you and I both say all the time, that we've all faced some form of addiction, whether it's a food addiction, addiction to a substance, addiction to people pleasing, addiction to, accomplishing and checking everything off of the to-do list. The reality is, if we look, and often we don't have to look very far to be able to witness it in our own lives or know someone who has been greatly impacted by it, or impacted by someone else's addiction. And so the dialogue in the Shameless space is intended to be that space holder, to be that space where there really isn't shame. And also, it can also feel isolating, or almost like there isn't a place to talk about your addiction if it isn't from a narcotic. And so I know that's been, a big thing that is, big part of being that space holder. So tell people on Saturdays when we come together, how does it work? How does it flow? If they were to come into a conversation, what can they expect? What does that look like? And for, our growing community, we'll have even more intimacy available in Facebook, and we'll talk about that in a second. But tell them, inviting, anyone listening here to a live conversation. What does that look like, Ezra?
So I would just describe it as a very unique place. It's a place like I've never been in before, where we discuss every single modality of addiction there is known to man at this point. and you mentioned them: food addiction, sex addiction, drugs, alcohol. You mentioned them all. And so we come together in community to just have an expansive conversation, and one without shame or being shameless. I've been in recovery now for a long time, and I've been in some of the other anonymous type settings like AA and NA and those types of things, Alcoholics Anonymous. And, you can feel out of place in those, if that drug that, for that room isn't yours, you're just looking for, a 12-step group to get to. And so this place, you step in, and all of a sudden you just feel, like we say about the Daily Manifestation Room, it's a soft place to land. And so you can expect deep conversation, fun conversation that's going to make you cry, conversation that is going to open your mind and your heart to something really beautiful that you may not have even considered before. I know that it has me. And so, it's just a beautiful, loving, spiritual place to be. For an hour and some change usually. But yeah, it's just beautiful. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I think that's the important part to know as well for those that may not be familiar with this talking app, which I think is an opportunity for us to sit in circle without being in close geographical range, I would say. And so, it allows us to be more distanced, but still hold that space. It actually, for me, brings more diversity into the circle, because we can come from so many different spaces and so many different walks of life. And so it's important for people to know that it doesn't mean you have to be there for the whole time. Stopping in for what you can, coming in and sharing, or, whenever you're guided, it's like, I always say it's no matter what part you're there for, something's going to speak to you and you're like, ooh, that was meant for me, And I think that's important for people to know as well.
Yeah, that's very important. I've never been in one of those, in that room specifically, without my mind being blown by something someone offers into the space. And I there's a moment every single time we meet where I'm just like, okay, here it comes. And without fail, you guys can't see me because I'm on mute, but sometimes I'm jumping up and down, like I'm rolling around the floor, like that was deep as fuck, just really going crazy. Sometimes I'm just relaxed and sitting back, but a lot of times when people say stuff, I'm just like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Like that was deep. And then there are times when it hits me so hard that I it's hard to catch my breath, and so it's an amazing, beautiful place to be. It really is. Did I answer your question?
You sure did. Yeah.
Okay.
Without question, yes, without question. Because for me, this is an opportunity again, as this podcast continues to launch and more conversations come forth, there's going to be continued invitation to meeting us in a space where you can talk with us or engage, come ask before or after questions, have an after party gathering. And I want people to understand what it is that's already happening, not with expectation that it meets your calendar every single week if that doesn't feel like a good fit, or every single day, but that that it's there, that it's something you can lean on, this space where you can continue to expand your self-love and acceptance, really take inventory of those things every day, in this weekly way in which we can reflect upon what addictions have we, come up against, what have we walked through, what have we accomplished, what have we learned, what can we share? Like, to me, it's so important that people know these spaces exist. And then whether it be for self or for others. And so that's why I wanted, episode 3 to be this exact thing, because this is the conversation. And I'll be so grateful for the continued listening, for those that continue to tap in and to hear what it is that we're going to, bring forth in so many different ways and so many modalities, both here and in that talking app and on Facebook. So before I point people to where they can continue to meet us, I'd love to pass the mic over to you, friend. If there's anything you want to share specifically around the room, the movement, anything at all, by all means, take it away. And we'll put how to follow Ezra and where you can locate him, all of those things in the show notes below this episode. So you guys, you won't have to look far. We'll be sure you're all linked up and able to find your way. But Ezra, anything you want to add in before I tell them more about how to find us on Facebook?
Yeah. So I'll just end with my vision, right? My vision is that the collective can grow to a place where it not only it moves from a place of just looking inward, but from inward back outward again. I want to see people change, for myself as well, but I want to see people expand and evolve and change and turn into these beautiful beings of light, and that they go from there out into the world to spread that. But first, the work takes place here in my lap and in your lap. And if we can do that in an enlightened, shameless, conscious way, then there is nothing that can stop us. Not even death. And so I'm just, I have a dream that this thing is going to be beautiful, and that it'll expand out into it's already out into the whole world. I mean, we have people who come in and listen in from Australia, and, so we're already doing that, but just a more expansive, more beautiful, more explosive way. That's my vision.
It's one I'll get behind, that's for sure. I'll cheerlead that one all the way, all the way. And so you guys, if this sounds like something that you want to take part in, Wellness Warriors on Facebook is the larger community, but we have subgroups. And so our beautiful subgroup for Shameless is called exactly that, Come meet us there. Ezra is in there. We will have continued prompting and education and reminders for upcoming rooms, so you won't want to miss it. Be sure to follow. We'll drop that down below the show notes as well. And this is, again, an invitation to take a peek. Maybe it's here simply in this conversation. You've started to consider, what addiction am I walking with right now? Is there a space I have an opportunity to release and surrender? Do I have a way in which I could live more optimally? I know it doesn't take long before I could identify it in myself. And so this is our chance to come together, stand in front of mirrors, love ourselves regardless of what we're walking through, and shamelessly talk about what's coming up, what has worked, and how we have found our way through. So thank you for joining us for this episode. We hope that we have brought some sort of value. We hope even more deeply maybe to meet you in conversation. And until the next episode, from our hearts to yours, we're sending so much love. Be sure to follow us on all social platforms. Wellness Warrior Podcast. Hello, we're here. So Wellness Warrior Collective everywhere, or 𝗫𝗀𝗃𝗃, easy to follow, easy to find. Sending love. Talk to you guys soon.